every 16 hours in America, there's a mass shooting. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm angry about it. I'm mad about it. I'm fed up. Enough is enough. And this entire issue of gun violence has to be addressed.
Charleston's mayor echoing the growing frustration we are hearing everywhere. Enough is enough. But here's the thing. Just days after that massacre at Robb Elementary, more than a dozen mass shootings were recorded this past three-day weekend, including in Charleston, where that mayor was speaking just right there. So let's discuss. I want to bring in Igor Volsky. He's executive director of Guns Down America. He's also the author of Guns Down: How to Defeat the NRA and Build a Safer Future with Fewer Guns. I like the sound of that title, Igor. So how are we going to do it? President Biden said he is going to talk and work with rational Republicans to take some action on gun safety. Sounds great, but is he kidding himself?
Well, look, I think this is his choice, right? Remember, this is a president who told us that his 30-plus years in the Senate gave him the tools he needed to get big things done, right? To get Democrats and Republicans together. And I think the argument I'm making that at a time when 90% of Americans all across the country tell us that they support expanding background checks and all kinds of reforms, this president should be able to channel that popular support into political pressure on Republicans to get them to understand that they have to do something. Look, it's certainly not going to be easy, but why isn't he crisscrossing the country building that kind of support? Why isn't he bringing senators and congresspeople back into D.C. so they could start those kinds of negotiations? Why isn't he taking all kinds of executive actions that, frankly, survivors have been asking him to take for years? He needs to show us that this kind of cycle, that a shooting happens, thoughts and prayers and nothing at all, that we as a country can break it. And I think my message to him is that, Mr. President, you're the leader to do that.
Okay, so tomorrow, what can he do?
Tomorrow, he needs to announce he's opening the first ever White House office of gun violence prevention. He's going to staff that office with a high-level official who's going to coordinate the government's entire response to this pandemic. He's going to announce that he's going to embark on a tour of impacted communities, listen to what Americans go through every single day in terms of the impact gun violence has on them and on their families. And he needs to announce that he's going to be bringing stakeholders into the White House. He's going to be bringing senators into the White House to start those, or continue really, those negotiation processes. He needs to treat this issue with the kind of seriousness that he applies to so many other priorities. He knows how to do this.
Sounds like they might call you into the White House. You got a plan. I want to share what Arkansas's Republican governor said this morning. Watch this.
I think you've got to be able to talk about the AR-15 style weapons and whether that's an 18 or 21 age. You have to at least have a conversation about that. The challenge with the gun safety discussion is what makes a difference. You cannot just simply focus on a gun safety discussion. It's got to also be about investment in higher levels of school safety.
Is that what progress on gun safety looks like, sounds like?
Well, look, we know what to do. It's not a question, as the governor is suggesting. I mean, just today, you had the Prime Minister of New Zealand in the White House, and she reminded the country, I'm sure she reminded the president, that countries can choose to act to change these kinds of catastrophes, right? They can ban the sale of assault weapons. In this country, we have so many of them out floating in society, and so we need to ensure that we license and we register them in the same way, by the way, Stephanie, that we license and register fully automatic machine guns, right? That kind of regime worked when we did that back in 1986, and I think it can work again now. You know, we need to regulate, I think, the gun industry far more aggressively. We need background checks. We need licensing. We need registration. We need to invest in the communities closest to the pain of everyday gun violence, because those programs work. They work to reduce homicide. So it's not a question of, oh, we don't know what to do, as he's suggesting. We have the recipe. We've seen it replicated successfully in so many other parts of the world. Again, we just need our leaders, the very same ones, the president, Majority Leader Schumer, the ones who promised us this would be a priority for them. We want them to fight, because believe me, when voters see them actually try to live up to those promises, they will be rewarded come the midterms.
Okay, we've got the recipe, but our government's not cooking. They haven't done anything. So for you, this is your life's work. What keeps you in this fight?
Well, what keeps me in this fight is knowing that you can push our elected leaders. You can push other key voices, be they corporations, for instance, right, who also have such an important role to play to keep their customers and their employees safe, that there are different levers, right, we can pull to try and make progress. And that's been true, by the way, throughout our entire history. You look at the civil rights struggle, you look at the marriage equality struggle. It takes time. Hard things take time, but believe me, they're damn worth fighting for.
And you are in there fighting this fight. Igor Volsky, thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate it.